Greetings, welcome. Rob Simpson with you. Happy to be joined by the man, the myth, the legend, covering the Vancouver Canucks since 1991. You find him on Twitter, X, at iMac Sportsnet, at iMac Sportsnet. It's none other than Iain MacIntyre. How are you, lad?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's as you know, living on the West Coast, people want to talk about the Canucks at all times of the year, middle of summer, middle of winter, of course, in hockey season. But this is one of the most exciting times of the year because everybody's got hope, right? Nobody in the league has lost a game yet, and there's certainly a lot of hope in Vancouver that there's going to be a better season this year than there was last year.
Real quick, as an aside, because we just found this out as we start talking today, Kirill Kaprizov signs a $17 million a year deal. What do you think of that in Minnesota?
Well, it's a pile of money. I think everybody saw it coming when he turned down 16 million. I wondered if the Wild were just going to dig in because I believe the next highest is 14 in the league right now. But of course, McDavid is coming up and he'll
He'll top it.
blow Kaprizov's number out of the water. But yeah, it's a new era in the NHL.
For a guy that was hurt last year and I think put up 56 points.
Well,
Holy
and a team
crap.
that hasn't done anything either. So
Yeah, exactly. You want to do rapid fire fun stuff off the top, or you want to save it for the end?
it's your show, man. Whatever you like.
Let's start with the rapid fire just for fun. Favorite, you've been here since 91 covering the Canucks. That's right, folks, 91. So he knows his stuff.
Yeah, I was
Fa-
about 14 years old when I started. So.
Favorite Canuck or two to talk to? Who are the two
Oh,
over the years, the guys you've always anticipated looking forward to having a chat with?
well, there's been lots of guys, but the two guys top of mind right now because they were so instrumental in bringing the Calder Cup championship. Manny Malhotra and Ryan Johnson were two of the most
Wow.
thoughtful, interesting, bright guys. But there's been so many. I mean, the Sedins, we were blessed to have them in this market, and we in the media were blessed to have them with their level of accountability and how thoughtful and bright they were. But there's been so many guys over the years that have been good guys to talk to.
Since you're a fine broth of a lad, what's your favorite scotch?
Oh, well, my favorite one that I can afford, or because there's lots that probably I like that I can't afford. Um,
Unlimited budget.
yeah, well, let's not go there. I will say that many years ago, my father was given a bottle, and I'm not positive of the circumstances because I can guarantee you he did not purchase it.
Right.
It was given a bottle of 30-year-old Macallan, and that's probably the best I've ever tasted. I had a couple of sips out of it,
Right.
but something by Macallan, and then if I want to save a little money, something by Glenmorangie.
Very nice. I've been to
But
that.
my father, I should say, and we could spend the whole show just talking about whiskeys. My father is from Campbelltown on the west coast of Scotland,
Yep.
which was once the whiskey center of the world. There's pictures of the wharf there piled 3 stories high with whiskey barrels, and there's still some distilleries, Springbank Distillery, Glen Scotia, and Campbelltown. So West Coast, but my taste for people who know whiskeys, I just named a couple of Speyside ones, but I like lots. I have a broad palate.
Very nice. Half of my family's from the Orkney Islands, and there's a distillery there called Highland Park. And the
Hmm.
18-year-old somehow magically in the last 5 years went from about $100 a bottle to about 300 and something. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm no longer buying my favorite 18-year-old. Glenmorangie, I've been to that distillery, by the way, and I think they sold it to the Japanese not too
Mhm.
long ago. So that's kind of a bummer, but that's all right. They're still making it.
Mhm.
Um, this might be a layup to use a basketball term, but most exciting Canuck player ever on ice.
Well, it's hard to get beyond Pavel Bure, isn't it? And is that the layup you were
Yeah.
thinking of?
Yeah.
But Alex Mogilny was the best Canuck I ever saw. Alex Mogilny had the best single season I've ever seen a Canuck player have. So
Yeah.
uh, I'll
And he
just put that out there.
finally gets the Hall of Fame nod,
Yes,
which is
yes,
fantastic.
and about time. But I can see why there was a debate over many years because a lot of people, and we saw it in Vancouver, where one brilliant season was kind of followed by a pretty average season when the team wasn't doing well. Is that Alex was so talented that people wanted to see his best all the time, and
Yeah.
I don't know if that was really possible. I remember one of my favorite stories that I've ever written, and this isn't in your rapid fire, is I did kind of a profile, a big takeout on Alex Mogilny, who was not the most communicative guy.
Right.
Had defected. There was a lot of skeletons, I think, in his closet that he didn't want to talk about. But it was one of my favorite pieces that I've ever done. Had a great talk with Fetisov, who kind of nurtured him at the NHL level, was kind of an uncle or maybe a father figure to him. But I remember talking to John Muckler, who had traded him from Buffalo to Vancouver, and he said Alex Mogilny can be as good as he wants to be, and truly, that's how talented he was. But for night in, night out excitement, it's hard to beat the early years of Pavel Bure.
Pavel Bure. Great answer. Number 4 or 5, your favorite road building.
Well, there's a bunch. Like the NHL for the most part has done really well with their arena reconstructions, and people who talk about the good old days, I don't know what days they're talking about because I saw most of those old rinks, and believe me, the new ones are better.
Yeah.
I think there's so many good ones. I mean, going to a game at Madison Square Garden is unique,
Yeah.
because you're in the middle of one of the biggest cities of the world. You go in and you take the elevator up to the rink.
Yeah. 6th floor.
The Staples Center, or sorry, what's it called now?
.com something.
Crypto.com. Is that Crypto Arena? It's unique. It has a gladiatorial feel to it because there's just a bank of private suites. So it feels like the rink is going straight up, and everybody has a good view. But I tell people, and I don't know if they think I'm exaggerating or I'm just biased because I'm from here. To see a game, I'm not talking about, amenities and entering and exiting and parking and all that, but to see a game, there's very few buildings in the NHL that have better sight lines than Rogers Arena.
Right. And it's a tremendous atmosphere.
Yeah. And that was, they had no choice because the arena course is wedged in between the two viaducts. So they couldn't build out. They had to make it intimate, and it's a great place to see a game.
MSG was kind of my home rink for 3 or 4 years, so I take it for granted. So I always go back to the Bell Center as
the Bell Center, the atmosphere. Like there's places that just have, an atmosphere that you'd go to a game, no matter what the game was, you'd go there just to be in the crowd, and certainly the Bell Center is one. People, especially out here, we make fun of Toronto for whatever we can, but it's still a great place. A Saturday night in Toronto to go see a hockey game there is good. There's lots.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say my least favorite is maybe United Center in Chicago.
It's too damn big.
It's too big,
especially when they suck.
Yeah, well, and they have for a few years, but it's just too big. I remember the first time I went in there, and it's one of the places, maybe the only place I would say I preferred the old arena to the new one. I was lucky enough to catch the final days of Chicago Stadium. But when I first went in the United Center, honestly, it was like going inside BC Place. And not the nice BC Place after the 2010 Olympics, but the one before, the bubble dome. That's what the United Center felt like. It was just vast.
Yeah, it's brutal. I was there pre-Kane, pre-Jonathan Taves, and like 0405 shooting a show for the Leafs, and it was horrible, a morgue. And they were singing along with the anthem, but there was only like 7,000 people there, and they were out. The Wolves were outdrawing them up the road at the Allstate Arena during those days. It was pathetic. I'm going to save the last rapid fire for last because it's the zinger regarding this Canucks team. And I got to get you out of here. You got to get to a practice. So our time is ticking. Nils Hoglander, they've given this guy so many chances. Now he's hurt. He's had his issues. He had the 124 goal season a couple back, but only had 12 assists that year. What do we think of Hoagie?
I think they're going to miss him. I think he's the kind of player, like for a middle six player, he's the kind of player that Vancouver needs with the way this team is going to try and play under Adam Foote. They're trying to play faster. They're trying to be more aggressive. They're trying to be right on top of the opponents, taking away time and space, like every coach says they want to do. And Hoglander does all those things. I think they wish he would score more. But like most of these guys, I've covered them since they arrive, and I can tell the guys who are really invested. And Hoglander last year, he had a really poor first half, and it was killing him. It really bothered him how he was playing. And he was a guy who and Rick Tocchet talked about this as well. He was a guy just kept working harder and harder and harder. And he started to turn around his season at the end of the year. Looked like he was one of those guys who could have a bounce back year, and they need a bunch of them to have a bounce back year. And so it's really too bad for him. But, there's lots of teams with injury problems. If you can't find a way to still be successful without your middle six winger, then you're probably not as good as you need to be. So we'll see. The problem with last year, and here's why it's so disconcerting. It's not just that Hoglander is going to be out for 2 months, maybe a little more. It's that it's going to be an imperfect start again, right? The lineup is not going to be at full strength. And the problem last year, from the very start, from day one of training camp, when Thatcher Demko did an interview with us and had no idea when he was going to play, and of course by then we'd had the news that Dakota Joshua had cancer and was going to miss the start. And what we didn't know was JT Miller was already hurt and was going to sort of nurse or hide an injury through training camp and then not be fully fit when the season started. When the injuries start to multiply, especially early on, it makes it really difficult to find traction out of the gate. And this is a team that needs traction out of the gate.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell that to the Seattle Kraken right now. They are deep in the weeds. So I don't know if the Canucks are going to have to worry about them too much this year. Hoglander, by the way, had hot potato hands as a younger guy. Just every time they got the puck around the net, it was, yeah. But I think he had settled down, like you said, and he's a hardworking guy. The team's identity, where are we with that? I think Evander Kane helps a great deal. He creates some space on the ice. I think Foote mentioned that the other night. Coming to the defense of your teammates, et cetera, et cetera. Are they closer to that magic formula?
Yeah, the team identity last year, there was the team identity on the ice. There was the team identity off the ice, which we all learned about.
Right.
The team identity on the ice, it was actually pretty good. There was a lot of respect around the NHL for how this team played under Tocchet, how hard they worked, how hard they were to break down in the defensive zone. So I think the identity, the identity is pretty good as long as they come out and execute and play with the same sort of drive and cohesiveness. And of course, this year they're trying to be more aggressive and they're trying to find a way to score more goals. So to me, the identity about this team is more, what are they off the ice? After the catastrophe of last year, and I use that term just talking about the relationship between Miller and Pettersson and what Jim Rutherford, among others, said the effect it had on the group. To me, the identity is, what are they going to be off the ice, and are they going to be a team? It's what Quinn Hughes, I had a great interview with him before training camp started, and he said, we're not going to be the most talented group, but can we be a team? And he said, you look at the Florida Panthers and everyone talks about their talent, but they are a team. He says, that's what we need to be. And everything I've seen so far, mind you, I don't get invited behind the curtain, but what glimpses I can see behind the curtain, they seem to very deliberately, purposely have come together this training camp and preseason, and they seem to be a close-knit group. So if they can have that identity in the dressing room, if that's real, I'm not too worried about the identity they have on the ice, but they still have to come out and execute. And one of the things that I think we all overlook when we're looking at this team is it's an entirely new coaching staff, and they are teaching some different things this year. So there's always a little bit of uncertainty with that. There's always some risk with that. And so we'll see how they do when the season opens. So far, so good, though. I'd say that.
For all the math in the game these days, it still comes down to Florida's a perfect example: character, commitment, chemistry. All the old school things. The eye test is so vastly important in this firehouse mentality of a sport.
Yeah, well, that's very alliterative of you.
Thank you. Yes. Very quickly, because you only got a couple minutes, got to get you to practice. How's Linus? I was really impressed with Linus Karlsson, as were people in Abbotsford. Has he used that momentum and that confidence in this preseason, and where is he?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's had a great preseason, but he's been solid. I mean, he's looked like he looks like a guy who understands his strengths and knows where he needs to get better. He's worked on his skating to try to get a little bit faster. But I'm impressed with him because it doesn't seem to matter who he's playing against, and maybe to some degree even who he's playing with. He plays the same way. Like
Right.
he's hard on the boards, he's strong on the puck, he gets to the front of the net. He's not dissuaded by whatever defensemen are trying to do to him to get him not to go to the front of the net. And we know from last year that he and back in Sweden, he has the ability to score goals. So I think he's the kind of guy that they need. I think he's going to be on the team at the start of the year, partly because he's subject to waivers, and if he might be one of the few. I was thinking about this the other day. Every city kind of, in some respects, overrates most of their players.
Yeah.
Certainly the guys at the bottom of the lineup, and you think, oh, they can't put him on waivers. Oh, they're going to lose this guy. They're going to lose that guy. The reality is there's very few players. We know there's very few players who actually get picked up. But Linus Karlsson is a guy that I think somebody would pick up, just like Atu Rati is a guy that somebody would pick up. So I think both of them are going to be on the team.
All right. One other quickie before your final question, your rapid fire leftover. How much fun are we having watching New Jersey struggling with signing Luke Hughes? And as everybody's going, and how many times has Jim Rutherford / Patrick Alvin given Fitzy a call?
Yeah, it's it would be another plot twist, wouldn't it? If somehow things went so badly with Luke Hughes that he ended up somewhere else. But I think New Jersey's going to fix that solution. I think we saw McTavish sign in Anaheim. We've seen Kaprizov sign. Kaprizov's in a different situation because he was headed for UFA status.
Right.
I think we're going to see Luke Hughes sign in New Jersey. The teams are in a tough spot because everybody knows how much money is in the system now and how much more money is going to be pouring into the system.
Yeah.
And a team like New Jersey that is trying for kind of a bounce back season of their own, certainly similarities to the Canucks and a couple of key injuries last year. I think they really need Luke Hughes.
Yeah.
I think they're going to end up with the 2 Hughes boys this season. Of course, we'll all wonder if they'll have 3 Hughes boys eventually.
Yeah. By the way, there's a number of UFAs coming up for the Canucks before Quinn Hughes gets there the following year, but we'll save that. All right, here it is. Last question. No hemming or hawing, IMAC. The Canucks in 2026 spring. Yes, they're a playoff team. No, they're not a playoff team. A lot of it has to do with Demko.
Yes, they're a playoff team. I mean, a ton has to do with Demko. A ton has to do with Pettersson. A ton has to do with team health overall. A ton has to do with the systems and the coaching staff. But I just think of everything that went wrong last year. And they still had 90 points and missed by 6. And we're in the race until the second to last week of the regular season. Yeah, I know it's Vancouver and it's the Canucks, but not that much could possibly go wrong again. Could it? Like, there's no way. So I think Pettersson's going to have, I don't know if he's going to have a superstar season. I think he's going to have a good season. Thatcher Demko is one of the best 5 goalies in the game. And if he stays healthy, he'll prove that. And we saw the kind of season he had 2 years ago when he was bouncing back from a previous injury-ravaged campaign. And I think the fact that they have Kevin Lankinen now, they can be more careful with Thatcher. I think Thatcher is going to be great. I think Pettersson is going to be good. and the team should be back in the playoffs.
Even if PD gets 75 points, if Demko's healthy, the confidence he brings, the actual increase and improvement in goals against, they're a playoff team.
Well, with everything that went on last year, if Thatcher Demko had played 53 games instead of 23, they'd have been a playoff team. And they missed the playoffs by 6 points, with Pettersson having 45 and JT Miller was traded. Right. Think about that. So they're not as far off as they seem to be sometimes, but they've got to get health and performance from Demko and Pettersson, and just make sure that this new system they're playing is going to work, and they're tight defensively.
Well, you could say that about a lot of teams. So
yeah, but they have one of the best. I will say this, when you look at what the team had at center when Rutherford and Alvin took over, Bo Horvat, JT Miller, and Elias Pettersson, to what they have now, they're left with Pettersson, and people can debate whether he should have been the third choice of the guys they kept.
Yeah,
but they have used those assets to build what should be one of the better defenses in the NHL. They got Roenick as a result of the Horvat deal. They got Marcus Pettersson as a result of the Miller deal. They still have Hughes. They have some good veterans, and the most positive thing about the team, and if people are looking at what hope they might have for the future, is these three young defensemen they have in Mancini, Elias Pettersson, and Tom Wilander, duking it out for possibly one, maybe two spots on the roster. So if you think about Demko and him being healthy, and you think about this defense playing in front of him, again, they should be a good team.
Yep. Playoff team. I think Marcus is a key guy. He's a key guy for me. Forward depth is the question mark for the.
Is this still going to be on the internet next spring so people can go back and look and see if I was right?
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
You know what we'll do with those, all the questions I didn't have, because you got to go to practice, bro, is we'll hit it after the mythical American Thanksgiving playoff cutoff, and we'll see where we stand at that point. I think people are going to like the result.
Well, we'll see what we can do.
Thanks, iMac. Have a great day. Enjoy the hockey action.
Thanks for asking me on.